Welcome to the Florida Trail Runners Project. Out in the woods, out in the swamps, down by the Withlacoochee. It started with a podcast, now it's a thing. The Florida Trail Runners. Florida Trail
All right, here we are with episode 122 of the Florida Trail Runners podcast. And for the chat this time, we are talking about the Long Play Trail Run put on by A1 Ultras up in that Croom and Brooksville area. And on the chat, we've got Michele Moreno, Rebecca Connor, and Kat Michlik. These ladies, they ran a 33.3 this year, and they absolutely crushed it. So hey, let's just jump right into it. Hey.
Hey, Joe. How you doing?
Good. Hey.
Hello.
Well, hey, how are y'all doing?
Doing great.
I'm doing well. How are you?
But yeah, how are y'all feeling since long play?
I'm feeling pretty good. I don't take long to recover. While I was going through long play, I felt my shoulder click, and I have some issues with my shoulder. And it was like just a little clicking feeling, not even a sound. And I dislocated my shoulder all the way out on Wednesday. So it's been quite the road to recovery for that, but I'm feeling pretty good.
Did you dislocate it during the race?
No,
Oh my God.
I had been, it hasn't really bothered me at all. I originally dislocated it in 2016, and every once in a while it'll be sore or something, or I'll feel it slip a little. But the last few weeks, I just have had this clicking in the back, and I figured it was just maybe scar tissue or something. I don't know. And I guess I was pumping my arms pretty hard during the race, and it's not even a cool story. But on Wednesday after the race, I had just reached around in my Jeep and it fell all the way out.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, it was terrible. And I had a race this past Saturday, and I didn't save my sling that I usually run in when I heard it originally. And so I had to just makeshift it and had to one arm the whole race.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I've recovered pretty well. Originally, when I started ultras last year, I used to think of the whole, I need to take a whole week or two off. So I originally did that for my first couple races. But since then, just as soon as I'm feeling better, I've been back to it. So biggest thing for me, though, is my feet taking a beating. I've yet to find a good pair of trail shoes that my feet enjoy. So that's always the last thing to heal up for me. So
yeah, I'm feeling good too. I used to take a long time to recover, but now I'm usually pretty much 100% within a couple days. So I was just back at it the next week.
Can't sit still for too long.
Oh, no, absolutely not. And I guess, we can kind of kick it off with, some backgrounds, those introductions, like who y'all are and how'd you get into running?
Well, I started running. I've always kind of been athletic doing things, and I was doing some fun runs and whatnot. And then I got into CrossFit. That's when I hurt my shoulder the first time. So I couldn't do anything upper body. So running was what was available for me. So that's when I started. I got a running coach and really got into training and whatnot. And then I was doing speed work for a while. And then I have some medical conditions. So I was going through some testing and whatnot. So in 2019, I'm done with being fast. I'm going into the ultra world, and I've been there since.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think, what was your first race? Was it Azalea?
Yes, Azalea. I did the 12-hour. It was it was a pretty good race, and it was at the ravine before it got moved to the farm. And I think this year they moved back to the ravine gardens. And I did, my goal was 50 miles, and I did just under that. So after they blew the whistle, I didn't take the ride back because they let you put a flag wherever you're at when your time's up. So I just kept going and finished my 50.
I mean, from here to there, now you've done 100 miles.
Yes. Yep. I don't know if I'm going to do that again. One day, maybe. It really wasn't that bad. It was it was a good race, and I don't like the berm. Joe, I don't like the berm. Has anyone else done a 100-miler?
I just did. So yeah, how I got into running, growing up, I'm built like the typical runner. So I always would get the Kat, do you run? And I've just been into lifting. I'm a strength coach. So I'll be almost offended. I'll be like, oh my gosh, no, I deadlift, And so I just would always hated running, couldn't run more than 2 miles, But then I was bartending at the time, and this little barback 18-year-old comes up to me. He's like, Kat, do you run? And I was like, no. And he's like, I was up in Cleveland. He goes, well, I really wanted to run the half marathon this summer, and none of my friends will do it with me. And I just felt bad for this kid. So I was like, whatever, okay, I'll sign up to do it. But if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So I started training for that, got into it, fell in love with it. And then just ever since been running, did my first ultra, was a 50K last May. Signed up 2 days before because I was like, I really want to do an ultra at some point. I doubt there's going to be many down here in Florida over the summer. So let's do it, and signed up for that. And then just kind of fell in love with it, and I'm always one to keep on building. So started with the 50K, and then since just want to do more and more.
Which oddly enough, Ultra in Florida, there's a lot of races.
Yeah, that surprised the heck out of me about the summer here. It's almost easier, and I think, to find an ultra in the summer, because I've been trying to build out a race schedule, and I'm like, oh my god, there's just so much to choose from now.
So for me, I was a soccer player growing up, and when I was 14, I started to play on a more competitive team, and my coach had us run a mile before every practice, and that was my first experience with having to run that far. And I remember that first mile. It was horrible. I hated it so much. But by the end of the season, I had decided that I wanted to keep running when the season stopped. So I did. And just kind of kept running, just not competitively. I didn't do any races or anything like that, but for several years. And then my senior year of college, and I graduated early, so I was only 19. But that year, there was a class being offered called a marathon class. It was just a general PE class that you could take to get that PE credit, which I already had, but the class just really appealed to me. I was like, that sounds like the best way to train for a marathon. The only requirement was that you'd be able to run for 30 minutes, I think, before the class started, and that you had never done a marathon before. So did that, and I did all of my long runs with all of my other classmates on Saturdays. So it was a super great experience. This was back in the time period where I didn't even have a watch. So I had no idea how fast I was running. I just knew that there was a small chance that I could qualify for Boston. But I did the marathon pretty much blind, not knowing how fast I was going. And I did end up qualifying for Boston. And then, of course, everybody was asking me if I was going to do it. But I told them all no. I was like, I have no desire. I feel like I have achieved the ultimate for an amateur runner, finished a marathon, qualified for Boston. What's next? Honestly, I lost all of my motivation for running after that. I didn't even know about ultras at the time. So that was kind of the beginning of me quitting. It was kind of a, just steady decline after that. And then I started having kids a few years later, and that definitely got in the way of running. I have 5. So it wasn't until after I had my 4th that I met a friend who kind of got me back into it. And then for my birthday a few years ago, she gave me David Goggins' book. So that introduced me to the world of ultra running. And it was so inspiring, but I remember reading it thinking there's no way I could ever do that. But it's so cool. Well, a few months later, my family, all 5 kids, me and my husband, we were out at the Santos Trail, and we were riding our bikes, and I kept seeing all these signs for the Skunk Ape 100-mile race, this way, and there was the finish line at the, trailhead, and it just blew my mind that there was actually an ultra here in Ocala, where I live, because I had no idea that there'd be one this close to me. And so then I looked it up after, and I saw that, there's the 50-mile option, the 100-mile. And I was like, oh, that'd be so cool, but there's no way I can do it. Then not too long after that, I got a letter in the mail, from a race company, which is so random because who sends letters, about a 12-hour race, in a few months. And I don't know, just something about that. I just was like, I need to just do it. I was like, if I don't ever try this, I'm going to regret it. So I signed up for it, and my goal for that one was 50 miles, as well. And I ended up doing, I think I did just over 59 in the 12 hours. And definitely the whole time I was running, I was like, I'm glad I'm doing this. This is cool, but never again. Never again. This is like one and done. Well, like a month later, I was like, I don't know. I think I should do that Skunk Ape race. Like, it's so close to me. Like, oh, I should totally do it. So I decided to sign up for that. Did that one. Then again, I said, never again. Never again. I don't even want to talk about the 8 hours of berm race. That was the next one. My husband saw that one. He was like, you should do it. I was like, no. But yeah, did that one. Then did one more in the fall. And then right around that time, I decided, what the heck? Like, I think it's time to try for the 100 miles. So that's what I'm training for now. I'm excited for it. So like 5 weeks out at this point. So we'll see how it goes. But
Yeah, it is coming up quick. And I know Michele, she's done 50-mile and the 100-mile out at Skunk Ape.
Yes, I did my 100-miler 2024, and then last year my oldest daughter runs with me and she wanted to get her first 50. So we ran the 50 last year, and I think she wants to keep going eventually and work her way to 100.
Yeah, see, that's what I always think is kind of interesting, because it's kind of like, at what moment do you realize that, like, okay, I'm going to go even longer for this next one?
yeah, well, for me, a big part of why I decided to do the 100-miler is because I've just met a lot of running friends lately, and I've just been running with a lot of people, and I realized, like, I could have a crew out there with me, because you can have a pacer for the second half of the race. So I have somebody lined up to run every single section with me. So I think that's 9 people. And just knowing that somebody will be with me, like, I feel like that is what has given me the confidence to be like, okay, I can try it. Like, I can do this. So that was probably the biggest determining factor for me, with being like, yes, okay, I can do 100. We'll see. Maybe. TBD.
Yeah. So I'm in terms of going up in race distance, I'm always just kind of like a what's next kind of person. And especially with like trail running, you can't compare times unless you're running the same exact course, ends up being the same exact condition. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to train for this whole year and do that same, or train for this 50K that's in 3 months out from now and get faster at it. So you can't really guarantee, it's not an indoor track, So to me, the what's next is like, okay, what's the next distance up from here? So yeah, I did the 35 miler in prep for long haul, because there's no way I'm about to go do a long run over 20 miles. Like, I'm the opposite of you, Rebecca. I don't have much of a running community around me, so all my long runs are solo. So if I'm trying to do a long run with people, it's like, hey, let's sign up for a race and find someone else out on the trail suffering.
I mean, hey, that's a good way to go about it. I mean, especially when, obviously, like, a lot of you guys, I mean, you have full lives, family, work, school, how do you actually make that training happen?
You get up at 4 a.m. Oh, that's how I do my long runs. They're pretty much always, most of the time, I start at like 4:30 on Saturday. Sometimes I have a friend with me for some or all of it, but sometimes it is on my own. But yeah, I just get up early.
I have to fit my runs in wherever I can because I own my own business. So running that, and then my girls are grown, so they live out on their own. So I don't have to really be here for them, but my husband is at home, so we try to eat dinner together every night. And so I try to work it around there. During the week, I usually run lower numbers, maybe 4 or 5 miles, but we also have the 5 a.m. run club here in Ocala. So I try to hit that up in the mornings. And
I didn't know you go to that, because I go sometimes on Fridays.
Well, I will tell you the truth. I was going Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then it got cold. And I am not a good cold person, so I quit going.
It got cold.
And then I went back on Monday, and now it's cold again.
Yes.
So I am going in the morning, but
that's how I met a lot of these friends that I have that are going to be out at the 100-miler with me, is through the Mem Run Club here in Ocala.
Oh, no, it's a good group. It's a nice little thing. A lot of people have told me they feel safe running with them because there's so many people and it's just an out and back. And my daughter and I go. We've been trying to get some other people to go, but people aren't fond of getting up that early. My long runs are on the weekend also, but I do use races like Kat and use those for my training because I got to show up, I got to do it, so I might as well use it.
Yeah, I usually just end up, my schedule is pretty busy. I don't have a family or anything, but I'm a strength coach, and like most people are not training in the middle of the day. They want to train at 5 or 6 a.m., then after school, after work, whenever. So I have quite the split schedule. So just kind of fitting that in the middle of the day. Then also with my job, I look at that as kind of training, the time on feet. I don't know if I'm kind of cheating myself there a little bit, but there's some days where even before my run, I'm up to 20,000 steps and I haven't left the gym. So kind of considering that time on feet essentially and never having an excuse to kind of sit down there. But then just finding where it fits and then long runs on the weekends, same thing.
You do have that exercise science background, and I did see on your bio the CSCS, which in the athletic training world, for those who probably don't know, like CSCS is basically the gold standard for a training certificate.
Yeah, I have my bachelor's and master's in exercise science. I kind of just didn't know what I wanted to do. Like I said, I started out never running, just working out, lifting, and kind of fell into the boat of like, oh, let's just make this a career. And started out with some personal training, and then really quickly decided that like general population clients, they're cool and all, but they're not like athletes in the mindset sense. Like all athletes, including ultra runners, crazy. I had personal like Gen Pop clients canceling sessions because they burned their thumb on a curling iron. Meanwhile, working with athletes, you're trying to have to like talk them down from things like runners. Oh my gosh, you just got a stress fracture in your femur 4 weeks ago. Why are you trying to start your walk run protocol already? Kind of thing. I vibe much more with that mindset versus the kind of talk your way out of things. So yeah, I have that exercise science background and just kind of shifted really towards working with athletes because the mindset piece is just cooler, as well as having performance goals versus just kind of physique goals, which is kind of Gen Pop.
Yeah, even with that background, how intentional are you like with your own training versus just getting the miles in?
I would say I'm pretty intentional with it. I feel like a lot of runners put off the strength work side of things and definitely just shift more towards the mindset of like, the more miles, the better, which isn't always going to be the case. So I definitely use some of that, because it's easy to fall into the mindset of like, oh, I just need to build my mileage, and then it's easy to let the strength training, the rehab, the recovery kind of go to the wayside. So kind of got to keep myself in check there and go back to books almost.
I feel like a lot of people think you do need to go to a gym, but there's a lot of things you can just do either body weight and from your house.
100%. Like I was the assistant strength coach at a college up here in St. Augustine last year, and I worked with the cross country team, and they would joke that the coach was allergic to the weight room, and I kind of laughed because I was like, you as runners, like, yes, some like I could find an argument on both sides of things of like doing your strong compound lifts, low rep ranges and everything. But also like there's something to be said of like just being able to control your own body weight as a runner, because that's what you're using. Like be able to get your pull-ups, your sit-ups, your push-ups, or single leg squats, all that kind of stuff. Like there's so much that you can do that you don't need to have a gym membership for and can take less than 30 minutes. Better than nothing.
It's funny, like my friends will tell you I'm the person I'm always like, I don't want to do any strength training. Like, I hate it. It's not fun. I'm not doing it. So it's kind of convicting listening to you. I mean, I do yoga and I do some power yoga. So I feel like that probably helps. I don't know. I don't like strength training. So far, not doing it.
I just started strength training probably 6-7 months ago, and I have seen a difference in my running. And I've gone for so long just not doing it because I didn't go to a gym or anything because of my shoulder. And I started in, and I don't go often, but I try to go a few times a week just to get that little extra in. And I have seen a little change.
Yeah, it's always interesting, like if you do the actual proper rehab and yoga too, like those things are so beneficial for running.
Yeah, that's one thing I need to take my own advice on, like the yoga, the stretching sort of thing. And I'm like, why is my IT band and hamstring, everything just killing me? And it's like, I'll do all the strength work, but you're in the gym for an hour or so. If you're doing a full, like it's kind of my social hour too, not gonna lie. But then by the time you get to the end of it and you're like, the last thing you want to do is go roll out or stretch or whatever. So definitely one area that I could improve on. Like Rebecca, I've been in freaking down dog before and had my shoulders burning more than when like actually lifting. So you're doing some work there with the power yoga.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. So thank you.
Yeah, even with all that, and I guess kind of coming into racing, but how did you even find out about the long play? I know some of y'all have ran some A1 Ultra races before.
This was my first one. I've ran with Andy a few times, just seen him on courses and just ran beside him, talked to him a few times. So I knew that this was going to be my last ultra for a little bit. So I'm like, I might as well go with Andy and go do one of his races. And so I just kind of locked in and took over. I've done an ultra in January. I did one in February and now long play. And I'm going to take a few months off, and all my family and friends say, yeah, we'll see what's coming up. But my plan is to hike the Florida Trail a little bit this summer. And then I have a Warrior adventure race in October. So we'll see what happens.
I was so I'm up in Jacksonville. I was actually after long haul. I was okay. I'm gonna think I want to focus on some more speed stuff, and we have the Gate River Run, which is a 15K, and that was going on that weekend. So I was training for a good 8 weeks for the Gate River Run, but I'm one that I don't really sign up for races in advance. I kind of just train for the idea of them and then try to sign up the week before or so. And surprise, surprise, sold out before I could sign up. I heard there was some like race day registration available, but then I was thinking about it, I was like, just over 9 miles on the roads, pretty hot, running kind of fast out. I was like, that just sounds kind of lame. So literally that Friday, I was just looking online on UltraSignup, looking at nearby like ultras going on that weekend or the next, and saw long play, and then saw that same day registration would be available. So I was like, okay, guess I'm running 33 miles tomorrow.
Yeah, so I guess this was actually my third A1 Ultra event. I did the Itch back in October, which is a 50K. The start is like 20 minutes from my house, and then the finish is like 10 minutes. So I did it mostly because of the location. And it was really a really small one, but that one was probably the best one I've ever done. I loved that section of the Florida Trail. So I really want to do it again partly because I did get lost along the way. So my time should have been a little faster than what I actually ended up doing. So probably will do that one again. And then I did Whispering Pines on Valentine's Day. One of my friends actually saw that one and wanted to do it just as a training run. And so I agreed to do 25 miles with her, but then the more I was thinking about it, I was like, I should totally stay out for the full 12, because it's a 12-hour run, just to like get that time on my feet, practice going into the 100-miler. So I did end up staying out until I couldn't fit any more laps in before it got dark. And then the long play, I actually, so one of my friends back in sometime this past fall, she texted me one day and was like, would it be crazy if I did an ultra before I did a regular marathon? And of course I was like, no, like I totally get that. Ultras are so much better. So I was giving her like all the reasons why she should do it. And then after I sent her that text, I'm like, and here's an ultra you could do. And I like just Googled, ultras in the spring, and the long play came up. So I sent that to her, and she kind of like probably committed to it maybe like a couple months later. But like in the meantime, literally everybody I ran with, I was like, you should do this ultra with us. Like, we're going to get a group. We're all going to do it together. So I was like trying to talk everybody into it. In the end, only 2 people joined me, my friends Caroline and Alyssa. So it was their first for both of them, and they did so great. Caroline's actually already planning to do another one. She's looking at another A1 Ultra in the Colt 45, I think. So yeah, that's how I like found it and came to do it, was because yeah, I knew I'd have a group of ladies out there with me, and then it did end up being a good training run for me, again, going into the 100-miler.
Now, did you even know what a long play was? Because, I mean, years ago, I had to ask Andy, and he had to explain what it was to me.
Well, no, but I would probably have guessed it had something to do with like records and music, just because I knew that's what like the word you got was. But no.
Yeah, I think I saw on the website they have the explanation on there, but prior to that, I zero clue.
Yes, Andy basically had to explain that it's the long playing record, or an LP, which is just the vinyl record, but they play at 33 point whatever RPMs, and that's where the distance for the race comes in.
Okay, didn't know that.
We learn something new every day. Here we just ran the race.
See, that's because we're just all too young.
Well,
And I guess coming into with the long play, I mean, how much did you really know about the course? Because it's basically one big kind of like a lollipop loop. Did y'all have a game plan, or what were your expectations going into it?
So I felt so bad. I didn't know anything about the course other than I had asked Andy. I was like, is it just a loop? Like, do you have to repeat it multiple times? So like, I knew it was pretty much a big loop. Like, obviously it is a lollipop, but like pretty much a big loop. But I had no idea it was so hilly. Like, I felt so bad for my two friends I had out there. I didn't know. I didn't look at the elevation. I don't ever go down like that way, like down to Brooksville. I didn't know. And it was fairly sandy in some places. I mean, I always compare sand to the berm. So in my opinion, it was not that sandy. But like, if you're not used to running on sand, it was pretty sandy. And then obviously there was no way to know how hot it was going to be. Like, it was like 90 degrees when I was driving home after the race. So that was a tough course. So it kind of like, I'm just so proud of those two friends of mine that were out there, that they finished it as well as they did, because that was tough. We had no idea.
Yeah, I totally underestimated it. When I was kind of planning pacing and everything, I was going off of my 50K from last May, the first ultra I did, and was like, oh, I want to at least like PR that 50K. So went out with that pacing, and oh my God, like, I was not ready for the hills, the heat, there was just a lot. And the fact that all those hills were very kind of condensed into that middle bit of it, like, went out really confident, like, oh, this isn't too bad at all. That first hill was like, oh, some rolling hills, that's not too bad. And then, yeah, ate my words a little bit.
this was about my 21st or 22nd ultra. So now I just kind of have the mindset of I'm going to show up and just see how it goes. I do check the aid stations to see how far apart they are. But other than that, I don't really look at the course. I've never ran this race, but I can tell you I ran the small loop twice because I was one of the ones that got lost and I was trying to find my way. And I'm like, wait, I've ran this part before. So I had an extra like 5 miles, which is ridiculous because I missed one little flag. And after running that many ultras, I should have known. But, I just loved it so much. I did it twice.
Like, well, I'm already here. I can't miss the turn twice now.
I would have too. Because when I got to where we had actually, and there were several of us that met up and we were all lost together. And it was just a flagging. The flag had flown because you had to turn. So the flag was behind the post. You couldn't see it. You could only see the flag straight ahead. So we were following the flag and didn't see the one for the turn, but it was all right. We did the whole thing, just not in the time that I wanted to.
And I like how, you mentioned the aid stations too. How are the aid stations out there?
They were pretty good. I carry a lot of my own food because of my heart condition. Like any kind of caffeine, things like that does not affect me. So I eat whole foods, hamburgers, I take pizza, quesadillas, whatever. Well, this time I didn't. And I thought, oh, Andy's going to have some great food, which he did have good snacks and whatnot. And they had peanut butter and jelly, things like that, which was fine. But when I got lost, so I look at aid stations so I know which pack I need to wear. So if I need to carry more food for longer, and I just had on my belt with my 2 water bottles in it and some snacks, and I ended up almost 10 miles between aid stations. So I was pretty hungry when I got to that second aid station.
Yeah, aid stations were great in my opinion. Like I said, I was pretty unprepared for the race signing up the day before. So I just had a few. I think I came with like 4 gels and was just like, I'll just use what the course has. I found out at long haul that I really liked the goo Roctane. So when they had that there, I was pretty stoked because it's so easy to just get down. And I had a vest with 2 bottles, so just filled those up at the aid stations. The volunteers were great too. I had the craziest story. So I had my vest on and put my car keys in my vest, you know. I look down at mile 5 and see that the zipper to my vest is open. So then I'm feeling for my keys, can't find my keys anywhere. So I think at least I'm like, okay, at least I know it in the first 5 miles that I lost these keys. So at least I won't have to go through the whole course again. And then I start thinking, okay, that 6K started, the half marathon started. I was like, they're gone forever. Like they're off in the Florida Trail somewhere. Then eventually I find, like, I'm thinking about it for the next 15 miles or so, my freaking Subaru keys. And I get to an aid station and it's the one that you pass twice. So it's probably around like mile 20 or 21 or something. And I was like, this is such a long shot, but has anyone turned in a Subaru key? And she goes, oh my gosh, one of the half marathoners just brought it in.
Whoa.
So I know I was thanking my lucky stars that day because I thought it was going to be a whole ordeal of calling AAA and you can get a key made for me. And yeah, so props to those volunteers there and whoever turned my key in. Saved my day.
Yeah, I don't really get much from aid stations, just maybe like some water. Like I pretty much I just do goos or like honey stinger waffles. And my only, like, I don't know if it's really a complaint because I'm realizing maybe I'm a little bit of an oddball in that I really need Gatorade like during ultras. Like I alternate drinking water and then drinking Gatorade like every mile. So they don't ever seem to have Gatorade out on their courses. So I just carried like packets of the powder and just mixed it up myself. But yeah, I've just realized I've got to have it like for the calories. But I don't know, maybe most people don't. It seems like don't use Gatorade or something similar to that.
I feel like Tailwind's probably one of the most popular, and then you kind of break down to like who's got Roctane, who's got the Gator Light, and then sometimes people will have individual packets like Element and then the other ones too.
Yeah, just so many of the electrolyte mixes though don't have the sugar and calories that Gatorade has, because it's just such a big calorie source for me.
A lot of times too, if I carry my own little packets, usually I do use the Element, but a lot of them are so watered down that you're really not getting the electrolytes that you need.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I've gone more toward like just using supplements, like a pill. I think out at Tahoe, I didn't drink any electrolytes, but I was fine with all the salt that I lost because I was just drinking water and taking just the supplements.
Yeah, I did have some salt tablets with me during the long play, which because I don't always take them. And I did feel like when I took those, like I definitely got a little kick after, and like I could power through a little stronger. Because it was hot. I've said it before. It was really hot out there.
Yeah, so I guess, take me into the course. And I guess we can break down how some of these miles went down. But I know the course, it starts at the TheRidge Manor Trailhead. And for like the first 5 or 6 miles, you're on that trail by the Withlacoochee River. You cross over the road, then you're on that path. And then Michele's double loop, which is Withlacoochee River, and then you get to that aid station or the second aid station, and I think that's around like 10 or 11 miles. But how did those first 10, 11 miles go down?
I mean, they were the easy ones. Like it wasn't hot at the beginning, and then it was pretty flat. It was pretty flat in that section, which was nice to know that that's the section we were finishing on because I knew we were going to be finishing flat. So that was my favorite part of the race, just because it was the easiest. It was really pretty running by the river. Like I've never gotten to run that close to a river like that before on the Florida Trail. Or whatever trail we were on. I don't even know if it was the Florida Trail.
Yeah, I would say the first 10 were super nice. Kind of similar trails that I'm used to up in North Florida, just flat. they were pretty shaded too, which was really nice, especially on the way back. So yeah, like Rebecca said, just the fact that you're like, okay, at least this is the part that I have to repeat. I made it a little bit mentally easier as you're coming back around.
It wasn't a really technical course. There were some parts you had to really watch your footing. There were some pretty good hills in there, but after you hit that aid station that you did twice, after that, it was pretty decent. If you had some more gas in your tank, you could run it out to the end, but going through the big loop that's when it got really hot. Some open spots, but I don't even know where the hills came from. They seem to go on forever, and you were going uphill both ways.
There was a time where I thought to myself, I'm like, wait, are we in Florida? Like, have we left and gone somewhere else? It was I don't know where they came from. There's so many. But the funny thing is, when I got to, I think it was like around mile 18, there was an aid station, and it was like, a fully stocked one, and there were several volunteers. There was this older guy, and he was like, don't worry, it's like all downhill from here. And I looked at him and I was like, really? Because I was like, that sounds really great. And then I think the guy beside him was like, well, like, there's like a couple hills, I think. But yeah, like it's a lot of downhill. So I left that aid station, and the first like mile was downhill. So I was like, okay, this is great. Like I'm gonna be able to finish really strong. And then after that, it was so hilly. So I'm looking back and I'm like, was that guy joking, or did he just not know the trail? I don't know, but I was so mad at him when I was going up those hills. So I was like, he like totally set me up for something that didn't happen. This is not downhill.
Yeah, because that big loop, that's up in like the Croom proper. Like that's the big loop of the course. Croom, Tucker Hill, that state forest area, and which is like the next 10 miles, the big loop. How'd that big loop go down for y'all?
Terrible. By the time I got to the aid station that started the big loop, I think I was already about close to 15 miles at that point. So I was way ahead of schedule on my mileage. And then it got hot and hitting the hills and all. But I like being out there in the woods. I love trail running. So, and in the middle of the race, I usually slow down a lot and just kind of take in the views and see everything. And so it was really pretty, but the hills were pretty tough. And I was frustrated because I had those miles added on, but I made it. I was fine.
I would say they went pretty well. I started out a lot more confident, and that slowly started falling apart for me. I'm a big David Roach fan. He's Team Never Hike. So I started out being like, yeah, Team Never Hike, like I was feeling really good. And then it came really quick that I haven't been doing any incline, elevation work, anything. So started out, got a little rough then. I trip over my own feet. I trip over the leaves. So I took probably 3 or 4 tumbles there. To the point that dude that I was kind of following his line just kind of started pointing at every single root and rock in front of me, so I wouldn't trip over it. So no injuries or anything, just little dirt on the arms and up my knees and everything. So that's how my big loop went.
Yeah, and I think I held my pace pretty well, because I ran the first 10 miles of the race, like, at a pretty easy pace because I was running with my 2 friends, and then I left them sometime a little before mile 11, and really picked up the pace after that. And then when I hit the hills, obviously I slowed down some, but I didn't walk. I was able to run. And then I knew the flat was coming at the end. So that I think helped me mentally to like keep powering up those hills because I knew it would get easy again.
Yeah, even with the hills, like at this point, this is where like the heat of the day is starting to cook in.
Yeah, but it wasn't 110 like it was in August, like during that ultra I did then. So it was hot, but it was bearable. Like it wasn't completely miserable. Like we're Florida runners, we're used to it.
Yeah, I was personally kind of excited to whip out the ice bandana again, and all the aid stations had ice. So after I think Tucker Hill, I kind of whipped it out then and was okay, it's time. I'm sweating enough for this to feel justified.
Yeah, so eventually, you do go back to that 10-mile section, 10 or 11 mile, whichever it is. But, you go back on that trail again, you're going by the river, how did those final 10 miles go down?
I mean, for me, I had a pretty strong finish. Like, I was able to pick up my pace again. So, I mean, I was ready to be done, but, I feel like it doesn't matter the distance of an ultra. Like, once you, like, hit the last, like, third or fourth of it, like, you're always so ready to be done. But, like, physically, I felt pretty good. So I had a pretty good finish.
I had a pretty good finish too. I was running with someone and I just said, go on, just leave me behind. I'm good in the woods alone. And so he made it a little while. I think he told me like 2.5 miles and then he was back to walking. But I had made it. I had already talked to Amy throughout the race when we were lost. And so they kind of knew what was going on. And so I got back to the aid station, the very first one before you go into last, I think it was 7 miles or something. And I'm like, I am done. I'm over my 33 miles. I've already done them all. And so I sat down and I was like, I'm just going to take a break. We'll see what happens. So, and Andy will stay there until the last person, all my miles plus some.
The last 10 is where it was really apparent for me that I was training for a 15K for the last 8 weeks. Rebecca, that's when you passed me, and I was like, she's looking so strong, and you just kept getting further and further off in the distance, and I was starting to kind of bargain with myself, like, okay, run to this next blaze, okay, run to this next flag, sort of thing, and then you could walk a couple steps. So it was a rough last 10 miles for me, I'm not gonna lie there. Even though it was flat, it was very apparent that I had no fatigue resistance in my legs at that point.
Yeah, I mean, were there spots out there in that final section that you're like, oh, I remember this. I am almost done.
Yeah, because it got pretty sandy, like in one area. I think probably maybe a couple miles out, and I remembered that from when we did it the first time through. Yeah, and then there was kind of like a final little sharp turn at the very end before you had like, I don't know, like a quarter of a mile back to the finish, like, but it was like short enough that you're not constantly like, oh my gosh, where's the finish, like, you knew like it's not that far away. So that was nice that, like, yeah, you could kind of recognize where you were and know that, like, you're almost there.
Yeah, the sand, and then also that road, you could see like the bikers kind of on there, like that kind of bike path, and then I was like, okay, we're almost there.
Yeah, that sandy section, that's definitely one. Now, granted, I've only done the 10K out there back when they had a 10K, but I do remember, like, once you hit that sandy section, then you move up a little bit and you finally see those giant tall pines, and the finish is right there.
Yeah, and the mileage for this one was pretty spot on. Like, I think I finished, my watch said like 33.4. Like, it was very accurate to the 33.3 that it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I had a lot of people tell me too that their mileage ended up being right at 33.3, if not a little bit over.
Whoa, that's pretty good for an ultra.
I know, Joe, and your 100-mile.
105.
I think I got 106 at yours. Actually, I hit 100 at Lambridge, and I said, I'm done. And my mom crews me. She comes from South Carolina, and she's like, no, you're not. Keep going. So I ran the last 6 miles back.
Yeah, Rebecca knows that. The 50 miles, 52.5.
I actually didn't know going into that, though, that it was over 50 miles. So and I know that trail so well because it's like my trail, like it's right here. So that was a hard finish for me. And I also had gotten a little bit off course when I left the Pruitt Trailhead. I kind of veered to the right when I should have gone to the left. I just wasn't paying attention to the blazes. So I think I finished with 53.5 on that race. And I just remember that was a really hard finish for me. Yeah. Well, this time I know I'm like telling all my friends, I'm like, it's 105. I'm like, it's not 100. So no, I'm mentally prepared this time. I know let's be real, it's probably gonna be like 107, but like it's over 100.
Unlike Andy and Amy, my courses are not very accurate. But Andy and Amy with long play, they also have that super cool, like when you finish, the finisher award is a record.
Yeah.
Yes.
What'd you guys think of that?
Well, I can't use it. I don't even know the band who's on mine. But it was pretty
Yeah.
cool. I like getting different things like that because you always get kind of the same stuff at every race. So I like getting different things. I have a whole pile of medals and shirts and whatnot. So when we get stickers or even the sweat towels or something, I like those different things. So I really like the album.
Yeah, we actually do have a record player, but we haven't listened to my record yet. But my friends, one of the friends I ran with, her dad was there at the finish, and he was able to look at the songs, and like he recognized most of them. Like he knew they were disco songs. I was like, okay, I have no idea. So yeah, he kind of knew. He was able to look at everybody's records and tell us what was on them.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Like you feel like you got a good bunch of swag when you're leaving, rather than just a medal and maybe an award if you placed. Like kind of walk out with a couple things in your hands, like, oh, cool, got something for this. It's nice for sure.
Did you guys look and see what song y'all got on your records?
I don't know. I didn't see a song on mine.
If you flip it over to the back, it should tell you what's on it. At least mine did, and my two friends did. Like it had all the songs listed that was on it.
Yeah, mine had the band, the guy and his band, which I don't know who they are. I told Andy it was the one I really wanted.
I actually got Billy Joel, so it's a little more.
My friend
one,
did
I
the
guess,
half,
so.
and she got a really cool one.
I remember when I did the long play, they made sure to give me one that had like, I can't remember. I think it had like a chicken or a rooster on it, which makes sense because I have like 20 or 30 or whatever chickens. But I like the award. They're nice. It's cool.
Yeah, it was something different. I never got a record before.
Yeah, it was nice that they gave out a shirt too. I just hadn't gotten a shirt from an ultra in a really long time, so I was excited to get a shirt.
I thought it was cool too. Were they so I got a shirt from last year because I did the same day registration, but it was like a cotton shirt, and I'm so used to the ultras having the athletic-y, spandexy mixed material. So I thought it was cool because I'm personally more likely to wear that than the athletic kind of material. So that was cool.
Yeah, and I guess we can kind of start to close it up with, it's kind of the classic question that I always enjoy asking, but what was the good, the bad, and the ugly out there for this year's long play?
I mean, well, for me, the good was like that I was able to like use that race like to inspire friends to, consider running an ultra. Because there was a good group of people that really did consider doing that race with me and the friends that ended up doing it. And then, like, if you had told me a year ago that I would have friends that would run an ultra with me, I would have been like flabbergasted. Because like you just can't find people that want to run that far. So like that was really special to be out there with two friends, and like I'm sure now they've inspired other people to go out and try it. So that was the best part. That was the best part of the race for me. I mean, the bad, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bummed that I didn't win because I did not realize once I left my friends and I picked up my pace, like I knew I was steadily catching people. And I had asked when I got to the final aid station, I asked the volunteer if there were any females still ahead of me at that point. And she kind of had to stop and think about it and was like, I think there's one. But the way she said it, I was like, whoever that person is, they are so far. Like, it doesn't sound like she's seen them from a long time. Like, there's no point in like really pushing it to try to catch them. So I just kept running what I had been running, which was a decent pace. So anyway, finished, came in second, and then like left. And on the way home, I realized I had lost by 3 minutes. And then the winner it was her first ultra. She ran a really great race, but she was steadily slowing down at the end. So like I probably, like if we had another mile, like I might have been able to catch up to her, but that's okay. Second place is second place. So happy to get second. I don't know. I don't know what the ugliest part were the hills for sure. But they were pretty. Like, I think somebody mentioned that. Like, it was a very pretty course. And hills always add some beauty to the course. So I did appreciate that aspect of them.
I would say, honestly, for me, the good would be the course. It was beautiful, like you said, and it was different. Like, in my head, like, I moved down here 2 years ago from Ohio, was in Pennsylvania before. So I've only been down here in Florida for 2 years. And that's kind of been my extent of really trail running. I've done some hikes and stuff up north. So I'm just used to like the typical Florida type of trail that is very flat, some sand here and there, palms, so it was definitely, it was cool to me. Made me take a step back and be like, okay, Florida trail running isn't all the same thing. You just got to get outside of Jacksonville and explore a little bit. So I really did enjoy the course there. The bad, I would have I'm just going to say like my pacing. Again, I started out way too hot thinking I'm going to PR my 50K on this course and without proper training or anything. So I just like look back at I know their website has your like 10-mile splits or something like that, and I was like in the 8:30s for the first 18 or so, and then that might be the ugly, honestly, too. So just looking back at that, I was like, ooh, I kind of bombed that. That was kind of lame. But so I guess that would be the bad for me. The ugly, probably the falls I took in there. I've like I said, no injuries or anything, but I drove down from Jacksonville that morning, drove back the same day as well. So just sitting in my car all dirty was not an experience that I enjoyed.
I think the good part for me is just being able to be out there in the woods and to just be running and to be able to just push myself to complete the mileage and to do all that and just enjoy being in nature. The bad part was I would agree with the hills. I'm not a fan of them. I would probably do the hills before I did the berm again though. And probably the worst part was getting lost. Which was totally my fault, not theirs. But if you can avoid getting lost, avoid it.
Yeah, Michele, I know earlier you said you're going to do some through hiking on the Florida Trail, or not through hiking, maybe I guess section hiking. Did you have any sections that you're going for?
So we started section hiking, and I've done the western side of Lake Okeechobee, and we've started here and did probably Land Bridge, and we've gone out into the forest. And so our next plan is to hook the northern part of Okeechobee where we stop and bring it all the way up to where the corridor split for the east and west through Central Florida.
Ooh, that'll be cool.
Yeah, that way. And then we're going to probably start at Land Bridge and work our way down the western side. And then I'm not a big fan of snakes. So I'm saving the bottom portion for the winter time. And then I think after we finish the entire trail, we're going to go back and do the eastern sections.
Oh yeah, I forget which section I'm at, but I know
You
that
should be on the west.
I think never mind. I am the west. Yeah, I know. There's a lot more road on the west side than the east.
There's supposed to be a pretty good amount of road, either right at the corridor or bringing us into the bottom of the corridor where it split. I started planning it, but I've started towards Okeechobee. And they have quite a few camping spots also. So we might camp overnight. We'll see what happens.
That's going to be fun.
I mean, Skunk Ape, 105 miler. Yeah. And then after that, I literally have no plans. I have no idea. Just that's my focus.
For me, I did Sombrero Sizzler last July, which is a 12-hour looped race. It got second by just over 2 miles, 2 loops, and being like 2.5 miles there. And it's my second ultra that I ever did, and I definitely was a bit soft about it. I sat in my car with the air conditioning on for like 20 minutes and like considered leaving and everything. Then I got to the end and was like, oh my gosh. Or like sat down and ate a cheeseburger, and I was like, if I just walked eating that cheeseburger, I could have won. So want to come back to that. Some better strategies, better mindset. That's in July. And then, like I said, I'm always kind of thinking, okay, what's next, bigger and better? I'm eyeing up the Across Florida 200 for November. So we'll see. I've been thinking about it for the last couple weeks now, and actually we'll take the summer to build some mileage and train up to that.
Across Florida is on my bucket list also.
Yeah, I'm a big logistics person and love spreadsheets and planning and everything. So I think that would be a cool one. Lots of logistics needed for that.
I think it is the weekend after New York, and I'm running New York City this year. And the weekend before New York, I have an adventure race. So I almost signed up for Across Florida this year already, but I'm not sure. We'll see.
Right after New York, slap down a 200. Let's go, a marathon to 200.
Well, the marathon would actually be like a caper run at that point.
It'll be a warm up. And boom. I mean, that's pretty much all I had.
Well, thanks for having me, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, I'll see you soon. Thanks for the invite to do this.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks, Joe. Nice to meet you, ladies.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you guys as well. I'm sure we'll see each other. Well, maybe I'll see you during Skunk Ape, actually, but if not in a race at some point, I'm sure our paths will cross again.
We've been probably running by each other at 5 a.m. Run Club.
I know. I
even
need to
know
look
it.
up. I need to look you. I can't place your face. I'll find you. I'll find you. They're like, I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna be there this Friday.
If not, we'll see each other sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, you too, Joe.
And there we have it for episode 122 of the Florida Trail Runners Podcast. You know, it's all about the Long Play Trail Run. It's a great race. You know, such a great event put on by Andy and Amy with A1 Ultras. That Croom area, you know, it might be hilly in some spots, but it's really not too bad. But it's always a blast to get out there and run in that Croom area. So hey, you know, until the next race, until next time, happy trails.
The humidity is sticky, but I love this game. From the panhandle down to the keys, running free where the world feels at ease. Florida trails take me higher, through the pines and palmetto. The National Scenic Trail, muddy shoes, sun on my face. Every mile is a wild embrace. Florida trails don't let me go. Through the hammock, the marsh and the glow. Florida trail runner, all over the state. Trail runner, near and far. Florida trail runner, Florida is the home. Out in the woods, out in the swamps, down by the Withlacoochee. It started with the pouches, now it's a thing. The Florida trail runner, I see the skunk ape chasing me down. I'm doing the long haul, running all over town. Aid station to aid station, I see the skunk ape chasing me down. I'm doing the long haul, running all over town. Starting in the north, Tallahassee. Starting Central Florida, Tampa, Ocala, Orlando, Dade City. Green Swan, headed down south, headed to the Keys, Lake to Ocean.